When a team has an elite linebacker like Fred Warner, for example, their linebacker 2 is usually above average at best because it just isn't realistic for a team to invest that much money or draft capital in a single position. But the 49ers got a steal in 2019 when they took Dre Greenlaw with their 5th round pick, and now they have hands down the best linebacker duo in the NFL. This year he ranks 2nd among qualifying linebackers with an 86.1 PFF grade. He ranks 11th in run defense, and he also ranks 2nd in coverage. He has 52 total stops, which is a tackle that results in an unsuccessful play for the offense. That ranks 3rd among all linebackers, and then he has 2 forced fumbles on top of that. So he really impacts every single facet of the game. He's not a one-trick pony that just looks good because he's got a Hall of Fame linebacker playing next to him. If he needed to, or if he gets the opportunity, he could step in and be a team's linebacker 1 and play at a really high level. The 49ers signed Dre Greenlaw to a 2-year, $16.4 million contract extension back in September, which at this point is looking like a bargain given his level of play this season. The linebacker position is viewed, I think, accurately as not being as valuable as other positions like edge rusher, cornerback, receiver, offensive tackle, and so usually I wouldn't be a huge fan of paying guaranteed money to 2 linebackers at the same time, but the 49ers rely on their linebackers, specifically in pass coverage, more than probably any other defense in the NFL, and so obviously at $8 or $9 million a year, the 49ers got great value on that contract extension. But even if they had ended up giving him a more long-term contract, like 4 years, $45 million, I would still support that just because of how pivotal Dre Greenlaw is to the 49ers scheme. So if we look at the 49ers coverage breakdown for the 2022 season, they're running quarters coverage at a 31% rate, which ranks 2nd in the NFL. And at first you got the Jets running quarters at 33.9%. Robert Saleh is basically running the exact same defense he ran with the 49ers. So 31% quarters coverage, and then their next most frequently used coverage is cover 3 at 23%. So over 50% of San Francisco's coverage calls this year have been quarters or cover 3. And the one common weakness of these two coverages is that there's no underneath defenders in the flat. Quarters is a 4-deep coverage where the outside corners are usually playing with a lot of cushion. So if you run a speed out against off quarters, that's just going to be wide open every play. And then with cover 3, you have 3 deep and 4 underneath defenders. These outside players in zone coverage are playing the curl flats, but still, if you run something quick to the flat against cover 3, most teams don't have good enough linebackers to defend the sidelines when you check it down. But I haven't watched a linebacker this year with better pursuit and tackling consistency in the flat than Dre Greenlaw. I probably can't even fit all the examples into this video because I have 15 plays saved just of Dre Greenlaw making a great tackle out in open space in the flat. Number 1, he has the speed and acceleration to get into a zone drop and then catch up to a running back in the flat that already has the ball and a couple steps on him, but then he always arrives at the tackle so under control. The first thing a running back's going to do when they've got a linebacker in full speed pursuit towards the sideline is juke inside, but Dre Greenlaw has the body control and reaction time to completely stop his momentum and make these tackles out in open space without getting juked out. Having 2 linebackers that can play the hook curl but still have the range to defend the flat, that allows San Francisco to play the coverages they want to play, but then also take away the offense's main response to those coverages. If you think back to the Tom Brady days in New England when they had James White and all these other running backs that racked up a ton of receiving yards, I don't know what the percentage is, but a huge portion of all that production came against cover 3 and quarters. Tom Brady's just so quick reading the defense, so when he identifies that there aren't any flat defenders, he would just check it down to James White, who would pick up an easy 9 or 10 yards. But if offenses are getting huge chunk plays just on checkdowns and dump-offs, you're just going to get picked apart, and patient veteran quarterbacks will have no problem marching down the field. But the 49ers just don't have that problem because both of their linebackers have sideline to sideline range, they're great tacklers, and they process the game extremely quickly. This play from week 4 really highlights Dre Greenlaw's play recognition and his ability to tackle in space. The Rams are running a bootleg concept where they fake outside zone to the left, and then you get a 3-level flood concept on the right side of the field with a delay add from Tyler Higbee. So he fakes a block on the end man and then releases out to the flat. Dre Greenlaw has good eye discipline through the play fake. He's playing with inside leverage on Tyler Higbee, so he's giving up a step to the outside, but he identifies the route immediately and makes a tackle for about 4 yards. Against most defenses, this play would probably go for about 15 or 20. This is another great play from week 13. The Dolphins fake a toss to the left and then run a drag route with Tyreek Hill underneath in the opposite direction. Ideally, the play fake gets the linebackers to flow in the opposite direction, and then by the time the backside linebacker reads the play, he's 3 yards behind the fastest receiver in the league. You can see Dre Greenlaw's initial movement. He kind of flinches in the direction of the play fake, but then he pauses and scans across the field, sees Tyreek Hill crossing over from the front side, and then catches up with him and makes the tackle. And then here's Seattle running pretty much the exact same concept with this delay ad from Will Dissly. And the NFL has forward progress, but Dre Greenlaw does not play like that's in the rule book. Every single tackle, he's trying to drive the ball carrier 10 yards backwards. Something I noticed with Dre Greenlaw is that he's really good defending the first down marker or the goal line. He has really good strength and tackling form to withstand that extra push from the ball carrier. Right here, Alvin Kamara gets the ball on the 4-yard line. Dre Greenlaw is able to pull him out of the end zone and then basically tee up the ball for Talanoa Hufanga to come in like a heat-seeking missile, and then Greenlaw ends up recovering the forced fumble. So being able to patrol these underneath zones and limit explosive plays, that's where Dre Greenlaw adds the most value to San Francisco's defense. He only has 5 pass breakups and 3 interceptions on his career, but a lot of that has to do with his role in the 49ers defense. Fred Warner's usually the guy they have playing the deep middle in Tampa 2 and basically being a hybrid safety linebacker. So Greenlaw doesn't really have that many opportunities to make plays on the football because most of his targets are just underneath dump offs or check downs that are almost always going to be a completion, but he just limits how many yards they can get. He has flashed the ability to play the football in limited opportunities. Right here, he's defending this return route from Noah Fant. Not the best route I've ever seen, but great job arriving to the catch point under control. It's really easy to get to these plays a second early and draw a pass interference. He had a nice interception in week 14. He's playing the curl flat. Tom Brady has single coverage on the outside with Mike Evans, so he tries to hit him on the deep curl, but he gets hit as he throws the football. Dre Greenlaw tips it up to himself and makes the interception. Probably didn't even need to jump here because there isn't a lot of heat on this throw. I still think he has some room for improvement when it comes to feeling out route combinations, especially when things are developing behind him. You see on this play from week 11 how active he is defending catching windows and zone coverage, but a lot of it's just spot dropping and then reading the quarterback's eyes, and that will get him in trouble at times when he's going up against a quarterback that's good at using his eyes to manipulate defenders. Right here, Tyreek Hill's running a swirl route, which is basically just an outbreaking deep curl. San Francisco has a 4-on-1 to the right side of the field, so there's no reason Tua should be able to move him this much with his eyes, but that extra couple of false steps is enough to widen out the catching window for Tyreek Hill. And then the last thing I'll mention with pass coverage, Dre Greenlaw is also a really effective spy defender against mobile quarterbacks. Even when he doesn't specifically have spy responsibility, if he's just playing zone coverage in the middle hook, he has the range to defend pretty much his entire half of the field. Like I said, Dre Greenlaw is one of the most complete linebackers in the NFL. His pass coverage is what I think is most valuable to the 49ers defense in particular, but he's also the full package as a run defender. Really nice play from week 11 here. Fred Warner gets blocked by the right tackle, so Dre Greenlaw comes from the backside of the formation, catches up with James Conner, and forces a fumble. If you've watched any of my other videos on linebackers, you've probably heard me talk about how there's pretty much 3 ways that a linebacker can avoid blocks. They can either outrun them, run through them, or undercut them. And because you need speed to run around blocks and power and size to engage through the block, there are many linebackers in the NFL that can defeat blocks in all 3 ways, but Dre Greenlaw is one of them. He's fast enough to beat the running back to his aiming point, but then he has the short area quickness and bend to make plays outside of his gap. Great job on this play from week 10. He outruns the tight end's block, but then he dips his shoulder into the point of contact and then rips through with the inside arm. There just aren't many linebackers even at the NFL level that can move like this in space. Right here, Denver's running a toss to the left, and the blocking rules for crack toss are similar to outside zone. So the left guard is uncovered, meaning there's no one in his play side gap. So his responsibility is to get to the second level and block Dre Greenlaw, but Greenlaw takes an incredibly wide angle. These first few steps, he's moving almost completely horizontally. Instead of making a pass straight to the football and giving the guard an easy angle for this second level block, he just outruns the offensive line and makes the play untouched. But with fast linebackers like Dre Greenlaw, offensive linemen are going to start over pursuing at the second level, and that opens up these cutback lanes where Dre Greenlaw can just give the blocker a small target and then dip underneath. Something to notice on these plays where he's undercutting blockers at the second level, he's not just using speed and quickness here. Most NFL offensive linemen are capable of extending the backside catch hand and slowing down these linebackers enough to seal them off. The crucial element of these plays is Dre Greenlaw's hand usage at the point of contact. Whether he's using a swim move or an underneath rip, he's always doing something to defeat the blocker's hands. There's a lot of quick NFL linebackers that are shifty enough to juke out these offensive linemen at the second level, but not many of them also have the power to stack and shed consistently like Dre Greenlaw. Right here, he just puts Atlanta's offensive tackle on his back and then squares up and makes a nice form tackle. So having this well-rounded, diverse skill set makes Dre Greenlaw not only a playmaker in run defense, but someone that's consistent on a snap-to-snap basis, keeping himself clean and not getting hung up on blocks. This last play I'm going to discuss is a great example of how the skill sets and play styles of San Francisco's defensive personnel mesh together so perfectly. Dre Greenlaw is a security blanket for the Niners defense, which allows more aggressive players like Talanoa Hufanga to play downhill and take more chances because Greenlaw is going to be there to clean things up if he gets out of position. So on this play, Carolina's running duo, which is power without the puller. So you got a double team on the 3 technique, and then Christian McCaffrey's reading Dre Greenlaw and running into whichever gap he doesn't fit. Greenlaw's covering this front side A gap, but Hufanga sees an opening and tries to make a play in the backfield. McCaffrey's able to bounce it outside and avoid the tackle, and then you see Ike Ekwonu off of this double team climbing to the second level. So Dre Greenlaw has to process everything that's going on so quickly. Hufanga gambled and didn't make the play, which is fine, but now San Francisco's -1 in the run fit, so Dre Greenlaw has to avoid this climb from Ike Ekwonu and get to the alley to make the stop. The 49ers have the best linebacker duo in the NFL, and if we're judging solely on the 2022 season, I don't think it's very close. The next best pairings around the league would probably be Philadelphia with TJ Edwards and Kaiser White, Cincinnati with Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson, and Buffalo with Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. But I think with Dre Greenlaw's emergence this year, you've got to go with San Francisco. And I'm excited to see how Dre Greenlaw progresses over the next couple seasons, because as good as he's been this year, there still are a handful of mental mistakes on his tape. So if he can clean some of those up and continue to develop his processing ability, this linebacker group has even more potential than they've already shown. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any players or teams that you'd like me to cover.